G'day Marvel Future Fight gamers, VaderG here, welcome back to the channel. Okay, so I think it's a little bit of time to do a bit of a review on the recent update. The dust has settled, there's been a few changes, there's been a bit of a patch by Netmarble. I wasn't able to do any I didn't have access to the pre-build file, the APK file this time around. I will next month, so I'll make sure of that, don't worry about that. But just want to have a bit of a chat about the changes to the game, the introduction of these dimension missions that have taken out daily missions, villain siege, dimension rifts, and special missions, and what it might actually mean to us players longer term, the pros and cons. And I want to get a bit of feedback from you guys on what you guys think about the changes. Firstly, props to Netmarble for turning out some pretty amazing looking characters. Again, some pretty awesome looking uniforms. At this stage I've got the Vision uniform, Rogue, Luna and White Fox, as you can see on screen. This uniform, this Rogue uniform, I'm telling you, this is one of the best looking uniforms I think that they've done in this game. She looks amazing. She's got a bit of bloody Green Lantern kind of Green Arrow type setup going on, bit of a bit of Robin Hood sort of gear. I love that color. That's one of my favorite colors, that green, and she just looks epic. So I can't actually wait to try her out in Shadowland over the next couple of days. I haven't got there yet, but yeah, I haven't quite got to the Quicksilver uniform yet. I'm not sure if I'm going to get it. I've got all the mythic. I've got the mythic uniform for his purple jumpsuit deal here, and I've also got some pretty good uniform options on that one. His new uni looks really cool, and apparently he gets a bit of a bump. I'm just going to wait and see how he goes in PvP before I pull the trigger on that one. Okay, the other cool things that have been in this update, well, World Boss Ultimate, we've got a couple of more world bosses to beat up with Quicksilver and Wanda there, which is cool because we're probably pretty sick of smashing the other 5 around. So yeah, that's a nice update as well. And then we have the boost as well on the Odin's Blessings for today's boss, even though I haven't got one, and I was on quite a roll before they made the change. But that's RNG for you guys. That's the way it rolls. The changes to Danger Room, they seem pretty reasonable. You can get into Platinum. What do we got here? Great info, Platinum 1600 points. I think that's a pretty good change from 1900. It should be pretty easy to get there. What do we got? 5 hours left in the season. I've done one match per day. That's all I've done. I'm at 1340. If I wanted to, I could do another few matches and probably push to Platinum there. So I think that's a pretty good thing. Still kind of, to me, it leaves a bit of a bad taste in the mouth, the whole Danger Room thing with how many points you actually lose when you get defeated. Which doesn't happen too often, but it does happen. If you get a slow team member or someone with a slow device or a slow internet connection on your team, I'm telling you what, you're going to struggle. It doesn't matter how good you are. Okay, there's been no changes to Alliance Battle Extreme. There you can see Marine Ford giving us a little bit of a touch-up this week. And week 1, so for me, I was kind of expecting potentially a bit of a boost in the score cap. Week 1, which is the week we're in currently, for Alliance Battle type guys like me, there's only one day that can't be capped at 3.5 million, which is the Cyclops Day. So if you set up with decent cards, CTPs of Rage and all that sort of stuff, you're really only playing Alliance Battle one day for this week, which is good in a way because I can get some real life stuff done, real life work and that sort of thing, and spend time with the family. But on the flip side, I do find during these off weeks that I do find kind of a little bit detached or disengaged from the game entirely. So there is that little bit of that element there where you kind of go, okay, you go pretty hard for one week and then the second week you kind of, I don't know, it's like a holiday and then it's hard to get back into it. So interesting dynamic there. But what we're going to have a chat about today, I am surprised they didn't increase the cap. I have to admit, I really thought that had happened this time around. What we're going to have a chat about today is the dimension mission side of things. Okay, so the dust has settled. Netmarble applied a patch to the drop rates a couple of days ago, which is a good move. Showed some really good reactivity to the player base there. So what we're going to do is, since there's been a little bit of time, let's break down the pros and cons of the changes. Okay, so let's start with the positives. For me, the biggest positive is I don't have to hunt for 3 dimension rift clears every day to get my completion rewards. That was a pretty big pain in the ass for me to do every day, considering daily reset for me is 1 a.m. and I can tell you I need my beauty sleep, so I was definitely asleep every time that happened. So waking up 5 to 6 hours after reset was always challenging to get the 3 clears. So for me personally, that's a major quality of life improvement with this update. I'm just going to say here generally, so I'm just rolling through things here, pros and cons as they come into my mind here. I think generally I have more energy through the day as well. So even though I'm not getting the 100 energy from the Dimension Rift bonus reward, the 3 Rift Clear, I seem to have a bit more excess energy through the day, and that's because what's the point of running these missions when I'm going to get 10 Rift tokens acquired? I seem to have excess boost points as well. I mean, I never buy the boost package, but I do seem to have excess boost points with this new game mode. So doing stuff like giant boss raid, that sort of thing, yeah, you can do it. Not struggling for boost points. Okay, and it also does cut out a bit of time each day, not having to do Villain Siege and the other modes separately. Since Netmarble applied the patch to the drop rates, I think that there's probably a decent amount of gears and probably ISOs dropping after. So I think these gears and the ISOs, I think they got the most love with the patch. Okay, there's more 1-star cards, but we'll talk about cards in a minute because cards are definitely not a positive in this update. Stark blueprints are dropping from these dimension missions, which is pretty cool because I used to never farm them before. The dimension mission shop drop rates for Euro. So let's buy a couple. Hang on, just reject that. Okay, so for Euro seems to be all right. Let's see how we go. I'll probably get not much here. Well, 4-star, but 5-star is not. 4 and 5-star is not uncommon. That was a pretty crap draw, right? So, and the gears, they don't seem to be too bad either. So we're getting, some 3 stars, 5-star, 6-star. Wow, that's the first 6-star I've seen from this gear chest. That's pretty amazing. So I'm saying these chests are really good for gears, for Euro. I haven't even tried the ISO 8 because I don't really need any. But yeah, we'll talk about cards. We'll talk about cards because cards are the big deal here. The other thing that's really cool is the uniform upgrade kits. So you can see them down here. If you guys aren't maxing, you should be buying these every day. Everyone in the game should be buying these every day. Netmarble, that's a really, really cool thing to add and a lot easier to farm uniform upgrade kits than what it used to be. Okay, so do I think all those changes have been positive? Yes, I do. But there's definitely been some negatives with the introduction of dimension missions, which I think Netmarble need to have a bit of a think about. So here they are. Let's roll through the cons associated with dimension missions. Firstly, farming cards and bios has taken a massive hit with dimension missions. I know that they did the patch and there's slight improvement in the drop rates, but really still extremely bad drop rates. Here's the deal, guys. Cards are what your account is about. People say, oh, what's this account worth? What's that account's worth? All that sort of thing. Your account's only worth as much as your cards. Now, to get a card set like I've got here, or you look at other card sets, LD Allfather, some of these other powerhouses who have spent a lot more time and effort on their cards than what I have, these cards require hundreds of rerolls to get a good quality and get good options on the cards. So Mythic Rifts, or Dimension Rifts in general, were incredibly important in the game. Now with Mythic Rifts, so if you were lucky enough to be in contact with a VIP 20 player who would open their rifts regularly, the bios that came with those as well are a pretty massive sort of thing. Now the Dimension missions, it has been a massive hit to cards. So, and even the support, like, let's buy some cards now. Just hopefully it makes a liar of me and I get something really good, like I did just before. That's actually not bad. Mainly 1-star cards, and really running the actual missions we're getting jack shit cards. We're getting hardly any cards. It's making re-rolling cards extremely frustrating and time consuming. And I'm telling you, everyone's going to suffer from this. To be able to get a deck of cards like I got there is going to be pretty damn hard moving forward. That's all I'm saying. So for new players emerging, for existing players who get new premium cards and are trying to re-roll them, it's a massive deal. I can't tell you how big a deal this actually is. The reduced drop rate of cards from Dimension missions compared to Dimension rifts. It is huge. Okay, so the farming of biometrics as well. So okay, we do get some bios with these with the Dimension missions, but it is extremely reduced. And really, the support shop, I feel like these bio, I think this is not really good value, right? The other thing is, if we go into the actual story missions, which used to be obviously a source of bios in addition to Dimension rifts, particularly Mythic Dimension rifts, what's the point of farming this stuff? What are we going to get? Norn stones? Okay, if you're very low VIP, then that's cool. We're getting some bios. There's no Euro. We can't select what Euro we actually want to farm anymore. I mean, this is insane. That's a real big blow as well. So, okay, cards, number one. Cards, the biggest blow. And I can't understate the importance of that either. Number two, biometrics. Pretty big deal. Okay, the loss of 100 energy per day from 3 rift completion rewards, that's pretty big as well. So let's just say we wanted to actually use that energy and do some farming of some world boss invasion type gear and open some chests after we do that and hopefully get some biometrics. Don't make a liar of me here, which it is going to. Normally I get pretty decent drop rates on biometrics and I'm just getting shit. Here at the moment, well, there's 7. I mean, that's pretty horrible though, and these are all white chests, right? So normally go a bit better than that. But with 100 energy, and don't go off those, what I just showed you there, those chest openings. It's not uncommon to get 50 or 70 bios a day easy from 100 energies. So another source of biometrics. And the 100 energy from the Dimension rifts, man, they used to come in pretty handy for either running more rifts or doing world boss invasion for me to actually farm bios. As you can see, I'm VIP 13. I don't get the co-op rewards. So VIP 15 and above, this is not an issue. Bios are not an issue for those guys. They get them in the co-op rewards. The other thing, obviously, is this thing here. The 10 Rift tokens acquired after you collect the daily rewards. There's absolutely zero incentive to keep on running this mission, considering the low drop rates of cards in it. It's really kind of pointless. So, you know, really the big inequity here is cards, in my opinion. All right. So the other thing they could do if they didn't want to increase the drop rate of cards is they could actually increase the number of Rift tokens acquired after you reached the maximum level to maybe, instead of 10, which gets you absolutely nothing, maybe 250, 500, something. Okay, reduce it down, sure, that's fine, but actually have it something that's just a bit more significant than 10. We've talked about the story missions, so they're kind of pointless. The other thing that I'm finding is actually farming uniform XP through the actual missions is a pain in the ass. Because, okay, I've just bought some gear, so my inventory is going to be way over. I run my inventory pretty tight anyway, right? So I've got a lot of custom gear, got a lot of ISOs, Awakened, and all this sort of stuff here. I've got a few cards which I like to keep there, and biometrics. I mean, I've got some bios there for sure. Tell you what, if you want to farm uniform XP and you actually just want to do, so not use clear tickets on these missions, your inventory just fills up with shit. And we're talking 1-star cards, 1-star obelisks. It's painful. It is really painful. The other thing, which kind of, you know, is a bit vague and a little bit out there, is completing the 3-dimension rifts. Used to be a little bit of a teamwork and player communication thing. Look, it's not a big deal, but now that aspect of things are gone. Okay, the other thing that I want to touch on is, and this is probably just as a bit of an aside, so what I really like is if you guys could comment on some of those pros and cons, what you guys think are pros and cons through this video. But the other thing I kind of want to comment on is if you're a VIP 20 player, right, so This is Awesome Mix Volume 1, but I can tell you there's lots of VIPs outside of Awesome Mix Volume 1. But let's just say, we pick a VIP 20 account. What is the incentive of being a VIP 20 in this game? Okay, you can have a lot of gear, you can have a lot of cards, you can have some really nice stats set up and that sort of thing. But having a mythic rift, that used to be a bit of a status symbol in this game. It used to nearly be like a bit of an achievement for some players to have a mythic rift and actually be a VIP 20. And I agree as well. I think it was a big a bit of an advantage for those guys, and as it should be. It takes a huge amount of money, which is really paying the Netmarble developers here. Let's not forget that. It takes a huge amount of money to get to VIP 20. Every VIP 20 player I've spoken to since this update feels a bit ripped off, to be perfectly honest. I think it's the loss of that status thing with the VIP, and also just a general loss of being able to actually run rifts like that. And get those advantages with the cards and the biometrics and that sort of thing. So, some to consider. Maybe you're not hearing that from the masses because the VIP 20 players and sort of these higher level Alliance Battle players kind of keep this sort of stuff to themselves. They don't want to be ridiculed by the masses, which is a fair call, right? So I guess what I'm saying is, what do you guys think about this update? What do you guys, in particular Dimension missions? I'm assuming Netmarble is going to watch this video and read some of the comments. So I'm hoping this is a good forum for people to actually have their say and maybe get heard within the game as well. So what do you think? The new game format, good, bad, indifferent? For me, it's a mixture. There's some really, really positive stuff, and there's some stuff which could be worked on. Really, the outstanding issue for me is the drop rate of cards and the ability to be able to farm cards. The Euro thing is definitely a pain in the ass as well, not being able to farm what type of Euro you want, and also the reduction in biometrics. Plenty of positive stuff though, definitely quality of life improvements, so don't worry about that. Anyhow guys, thanks for watching the video. It's gotten a bit long here, so I'm going to wrap it up. Appreciate your time watching. Hit up the comment section below. Thanks for watching everyone. See ya. Bye.